A woman vanished while kayaking with her dog, leaving her family desperate for answers. But 2 months later, a pilot's aerial view reveals something that makes everyone's blood run cold. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like and comment from what part of the world you're watching, because now I'm going to tell you how all this happened. "Mom, I'll be back for dinner. Don't worry about me," Emily Thompson called out as she tossed her camera bag into her blue Subaru. Her golden retriever Cooper danced excitedly by the car door, tail wagging like a flag in the wind. "You say that every Saturday," Sarah Thompson replied, smiling from the front porch of their small lakeside home. "Just send me a text when you get to the lake." Emily's blonde hair caught the morning sunlight as she nodded. "Always do. Love you." Cooper jumped into the back seat and Emily drove away, the morning sun reflecting off the red kayak strapped to her car roof. It was a perfect June morning in Montana, the kind that promised adventure and beautiful photographs. 20 minutes later, Emily parked at Lake Horizon. The parking lot was half full with other weekend visitors enjoying the clear day. She pulled out her phone and texted her mother, "Taking Cooper to the lake. Should be back for dinner. Love you." "Ready for our weekly adventure, buddy?" Emily asked Cooper as she unloaded her bright red kayak. The golden retriever barked once, as if saying yes. David Miller, a regular fisherman at the lake, waved from his usual spot. "Morning, Emily. Perfect day for kayaking." "Isn't it? How's the fishing today?" Emily called back, sliding her kayak toward the water. "Just getting started. That dog of yours should be wearing a life jacket too, you know," David said with a friendly smile. Emily laughed. "Cooper's a better swimmer than I am." She secured her waterproof camera bag and helped Cooper climb into the front of the kayak. The golden retriever sat proudly like a ship's captain. "We're heading to the north side today," Emily told David. "I heard there's a family of otters over there." "Be careful," David warned. "Weather reports said there might be a storm coming this afternoon." Emily looked up at the clear blue sky. "Doesn't look like it now, but we'll keep an eye out. See you later." She pushed off from shore, her paddle cutting smoothly through the calm water. Cooper sat perfectly still, his eyes scanning the lake as they moved forward. Several other lake visitors recognized the familiar sight of the young photographer and her dog in the bright red kayak. Lisa Jenkins was picnicking with her children near the shore. "Look, kids, there's the lady with the golden retriever." She waved, and Emily waved back before continuing toward the northern part of the lake. By mid-afternoon, dark clouds began gathering over the mountains. At the Thompson home, Sarah glanced worriedly at the kitchen clock. It was 4 o'clock, and the weather report was now warning of a severe summer storm approaching the area. Sarah picked up her phone and called Emily. The call went straight to voicemail. "Emily, honey, there's a storm coming. Please head back early. Call me when you get this." An hour later, rain pounded against the windows of the Thompson home. Sarah tried Emily's phone again, still straight to voicemail. "It's probably turned off to keep it dry," she told herself. But worry had settled in her stomach like a cold stone. By 7 o'clock the storm had passed, but Emily hadn't returned or called. Sarah phoned Megan, Emily's best friend. "Have you heard from Emily today?" Sarah asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "No, not since yesterday," Megan replied. "Isn't she out at the lake? That's her Saturday thing." "Yes, but she should have been back by now. Her phone's going straight to voicemail." "Maybe she stopped somewhere for dinner, or the storm delayed her?" Megan suggested. "Maybe," Sarah said, but the worry in her voice was clear. By 9 o'clock, Sarah had called everyone Emily might have contacted. No one had heard from her. The sky outside had grown dark, and Sarah's worry had turned to fear. At midnight, Sarah made the call she had been avoiding. Her hands shook as she dialed. "Lakeside Police Department," a voice answered. "I need to report my daughter missing," Sarah said, her voice breaking. "She went kayaking this morning at Lake Horizon with her dog. She always comes home for dinner. Something's wrong. Something's happened to Emily." Chief Deputy Alex Martinez arrived at the Lakeside Police Station at 5:30 in the morning. Dark circles under his eyes revealed he hadn't slept much after Sarah Thompson's midnight call about her missing daughter. "What do we know so far?" he asked Officer Jenkins, who was already organizing maps of Lake Horizon on the conference table. Emily Thompson, 25 years old, went kayaking yesterday morning with her golden retriever, red kayak, blue Subaru. Multiple witnesses confirm seeing her paddle toward the north side of the lake. She never returned home. Alex nodded, running a hand through his short dark hair. Let's get search teams out there immediately. Contact the park rangers and gather local volunteers. I want boats on that water as soon as there's enough light. By 7 o'clock, the parking lot at Lake Horizon was filled with police vehicles, volunteer trucks, and Sarah Thompson's car. Alex approached Sarah, who stood staring at the calm water with red-rimmed eyes. Mrs. Thompson, I'm Chief Deputy Martinez. We're going to find your daughter. Sarah clutched a photo of Emily and Cooper. She knows this lake like the back of her hand. Something must have happened to her. We found her car, Officer Jenkins called out, waving from across the parking lot. Alex and Sarah hurried over to Emily's blue Subaru. The car was locked, with Emily's car keys visible inside on the driver's seat. That's strange, Sarah said, pressing her hand against the window. She never leaves her keys in the car. Alex crouched down, examining the ground around the vehicle. Look at these footprints. They lead straight to the water's edge, and these larger prints must be her dog's. David Miller, the fisherman who had spoken with Emily the day before, approached the group. I saw her yesterday morning. She and that golden retriever of hers headed toward the north side, said something about photographing otters. Did you notice anything unusual? Alex asked. Not really, though I did warn her about the storm that was coming. Sky was clear when she left, though. By 10 o'clock, 6 boats were searching the lake. Volunteers walked the shoreline calling Emily's name. Park rangers brought in trained search dogs, who sniffed Emily's jacket that Sarah had brought from home. Anything from the helicopter? Alex asked through his radio. Negative, came the crackling response. No sign of a red kayak anywhere on the lake or surrounding shores. As the sun climbed higher, Alex expanded the search perimeter. The storm yesterday had winds up to 40 miles per hour. She could have been blown off course or sought shelter somewhere. Sarah sat in the command tent clutching a cup of untouched coffee. Megan, Emily's best friend, had arrived to sit with her. She's a survivor, Megan assured Sarah. Remember when she got lost on that hiking trip in college and found her way back using just the stars? And Cooper won't leave her side, no matter what. By late afternoon, news vans began arriving at Lake Horizon. The story of the missing photographer and her dog had reached regional news stations. Chief Deputy, a reporter called out as Alex exited the command tent. Any leads on the missing woman? We're pursuing all possible scenarios, Alex replied firmly. Ms. Thompson is an experienced outdoorswoman, but we're concerned about the time that has passed. As darkness fell on the first day of searching, Alex reluctantly called the teams back in. We'll resume at first light, he told the exhausted volunteers. Tomorrow we'll bring in more resources from the state search and rescue teams. Sarah refused to leave. I'm staying here in case she comes back. Alex nodded, understanding. I'll have officers here all night. If there's any news, you'll know immediately. That night, the lakeside community rallied together. The local diner sent hot meals to the searchers. The hardware store donated flashlights and batteries. People from neighboring towns called offering boats and drones for tomorrow's search. As Alex studied maps in his office at midnight, marking areas already covered and planning for tomorrow, his phone rang. Chief Deputy Martinez, this is State Search and Rescue. We'll have 3 helicopters with thermal imaging at your location by 7 tomorrow morning. Thank you, Alex replied, circling the northern section of his map. We need to check every cove, every possible landing spot. There's a young woman and her dog out there somewhere, and we're not stopping until we find them. 3 days into the search, Janet and Bill Wilson sat across from each other in Janet's small kitchen. The ticking of the wall clock seemed unnaturally loud in the tense silence. It was the first time they had been alone together in nearly 4 years. More coffee? Janet asked, her voice hoarse from crying. Bill nodded, pushing his mug across the table. Thanks. They had been divorced for 10 years, but their daughter's disappearance had forced them back into each other's lives. Janet's hands trembled as she poured the coffee. I should have known something was wrong when she didn't text me after lunch, Janet whispered. I'm her mother. I should have felt it. Bill ran his hand through his gray-streaked hair. Don't do that to yourself. Emily is 25 years old. You couldn't have known. Chief Rogers called while you were in the shower, Janet said. They're bringing in dogs from Denver today. Bill stood up and paced the small kitchen. I'm heading back out with the search team in 30 minutes. Are you coming? Janet shook her head. I need to stay here in case she calls. I'm keeping her phone charged and by my side every minute. The doorbell rang, interrupting their conversation. Lisa stood on the porch, holding a large container of food. Mrs. Henderson from the bakery sent this, Lisa said, stepping inside. It's enough lasagna to feed an army. Janet attempted a smile. Everyone has been so kind. Any news? Lisa asked, setting the food on the counter. Bill shook his head. Nothing yet, but we're not giving up. Later that afternoon, Bill joined a team of 12 volunteers searching the eastern shore of Blue Lake. His construction boots were caked with mud and sweat soaked through his shirt, despite the cool mountain air. Mr. Wilson, called Tom Barnes, Emily's photography mentor. We should check that small cove over there. Emily once told me it was her favorite spot for bird photography. The two men picked their way through dense underbrush. Bill's face was tight with determination. How are you holding up? Tom asked quietly. Bill paused, looking out across the sparkling water. I moved to Denver after the divorce. Should have stayed closer. Should have been more present in her life. Emily adores you, Tom said. She shows me the hiking photos you two take on your monthly trips. Bill's eyes widened. She still keeps those? Talks about them all the time. That evening, the local television station asked for an interview with Emily's parents. Janet and Bill sat side by side on Janet's floral couch, looking uncomfortable in front of the camera. Please, Janet said, her voice breaking. If anyone has seen Emily or Max, call the police immediately. Emily has blonde hair, is about 5 feet 6 inches tall, and was last seen in a blue jacket. Max is a golden retriever with a slight limp in his back leg. Bill cleared his throat. Emily is smart and resourceful. If anyone could survive out there, it's her. But she needs our help now. After the interview, Janet collapsed into tears. Bill awkwardly patted her shoulder, unsure how to comfort the woman he had once loved. She's still out there, he said firmly. I can feel it. How can you be so sure? Janet asked through her tears. Because she's part of both of us. She has your creativity and my stubbornness. That's a powerful combination. Lisa arrived with dinner and updates from the search headquarters at Mountain Brew Coffee Shop. Mrs. Henderson has turned the back room into a command center, Lisa explained. The high school principal offered the gym for the larger meetings starting tomorrow. Has there been any news about the storm patterns from Saturday? Bill asked. Lisa shook her head. They're still analyzing data, but Chief Rogers thinks the current might have carried the kayak downstream if Emily got caught in the overflow creek. That night, Janet couldn't sleep. She sat in Emily's childhood bedroom, surrounded by photography awards and nature posters. She picked up a framed photo from Emily's high school graduation, the three of them together, smiling, Janet and Bill standing awkwardly apart, but both beaming with pride at their daughter. The house phone rang at 11:30, making Janet jump. Hello? She answered breathlessly. Mrs. Wilson, this is Chief Rogers. I wanted to let you know we found something near the North Shore. We found Emily's blue water bottle, washed up on the North Shore, Chief Rogers explained over the phone. It has her name on it. Janet clutched the phone tightly. Is there anything else? Not yet, but this gives us a search direction for tomorrow. The next morning, Main Street in Pine Creek was buzzing with activity despite the early hour. Mountain Brew Coffee Shop had become the unofficial headquarters for the search operation. Mrs. Henderson, the 65-year-old owner with silver hair and kind eyes, hadn't gone home in 3 days. More coffee for the search team heading to Sector 4, she called to her volunteer staff as she pinned another map to the wall. The bell above the door jingled as Lisa walked in, carrying boxes of donuts. Sunrise Bakery sent these over, Lisa said, and Mr. Johnson from the hardware store dropped off 20 more flashlights. Mrs. Henderson nodded gratefully. Put them with the supplies in the back room. The high school basketball coach just called. They're canceling summer camp, so we can use the gym for the bigger planning meetings. Outside Mountain Brew, a group of Emily's photography students from the community center gathered with handmade posters. We're putting these up all over town, explained 16-year-old Zach, holding up a poster with Emily's smiling face. Ms. Wilson taught me how to use a camera last summer. She can't be gone. By noon, Pine Creek High School's gym was filled with over 100 volunteers. Principal Evans stood at the microphone. I know many of you have jobs and families, but you've been here day after day looking for Emily and Max. This community doesn't give up on its own. Tom Barnes, Emily's photography mentor, stepped forward with a large map. I've marked all the places Emily loved to photograph. These are areas she might have headed to if she got into trouble and needed to find shelter. As days turned into weeks, the people of Pine Creek refused to let hope fade. Every business in town had Emily's missing poster in the window. Children made cards for Janet and Bill. The local supermarket donated food for the search teams every day. 4 weeks after Emily's disappearance, 8-year-old Lily Martinez approached Chief Rogers with her piggy bank. "This is $23.45, she said seriously. "It's for the helicopters to find Miss Emily and Max." Chief Rogers knelt down to her level. "That's very generous, Lily. How about we use it to buy water bottles for our search teams?" The Pine Creek Gazette newspaper ran weekly updates about the search. Editor Frank Thompson kept Emily's story on the front page. "National media has moved on to other stories," Frank told his staff. "But we won't. She's one of ours." 6 weeks into the search, Janet and Bill sat in Mountain Brew, their faces showing the strain of endless waiting. Mrs. Henderson brought them fresh muffins. "You two need to eat," she insisted. "The whole town is still looking. Someone will find her." "The state search teams are scaling back," Bill said quietly. "They can't justify the resources after this long." Mrs. Henderson's face hardened with determination. "Then we'll pick up the slack. Tom is organizing weekend searches focusing on Emily's favorite photography spots." Later that evening, a candlelight gathering was held at Blue Lake. Hundreds of Pine Creek residents stood along the shore, their lights reflecting on the water. Lisa stood beside Janet and Bill. "Look at all these people. They're not giving up." "Do you think she's still alive?" Janet whispered. Bill gazed across the lake. "Emily knows these mountains better than most adults who've lived here their whole lives. If anyone could survive out there, it's her." As the crowd sang Emily's favorite song, Max's blue tennis ball washed up on the shore at Janet's feet. She picked it up with trembling hands. "This is Max's favorite toy," she said, her voice breaking. "He takes it everywhere." Bill put his arm around his ex-wife's shoulders. "That means they were here, and maybe they're still out there somewhere, waiting for us to find them." From the back of the crowd, Chief Rogers watched the ball being passed to him. This was the first solid clue they'd had in weeks. Tomorrow, they would search the lake again, with renewed purpose. 8 weeks had passed since Emily's blue tennis ball washed ashore. The bright summer days had grown shorter as August arrived, and though the weekend searches continued, many in Pine Creek had begun to accept that they might never learn what happened to Emily and Max. Mike Thompson checked his camera equipment one last time before boarding the small Cessna airplane. At 42 years old, Mike had been photographing wildlife for National Geographic for over 15 years. "Weather looks perfect for eagle photography," said Pete, the pilot, as they taxied down the runway. "We'll fly over Rocky Mountain National Park and circle back around sunset." "Thanks for taking me up today," Mike replied, adjusting his zoom lens. "The magazine deadline is next week, and I still need shots of eagles feeding their young." The small plane climbed into the clear blue sky. For 2 hours, Mike photographed eagles soaring between mountain peaks. As they flew over a remote section of the park, something caught his eye. "Pete, can you circle back and go lower over that canyon?" Mike asked, pointing to his right. "That's way off the hiking trails," Pete said, banking the plane. "Nobody goes down there." As they flew lower, Mike aimed his camera at a flash of bright color among the green trees. Through his telephoto lens, he saw something that made his heart race. "Pete, there's a red kayak down there, near that waterfall." Pete looked skeptical. "You sure it's not just a red rock?" Mike showed him the camera display. The image clearly showed a red kayak wedged between rocks at the base of a tall waterfall. "We need to call this in immediately," Mike said. "Remember that missing woman from Pine Creek? The photographer with the golden retriever?" As soon as they landed, Mike ran to the ranger station with his camera. Ranger Wilson looked at the photos with widening eyes. "These coordinates are nearly 60 miles from Blue Lake," he said, picking up his radio. "I need to contact search and rescue immediately." Within an hour, plans were being made for a helicopter rescue mission at first light. Mike called the Pine Creek Police Department. "Chief Rogers, this is Mike Thompson. I'm a wildlife photographer. I think I found Emily Wilson's kayak." The next morning, Janet and Bill stood at the small Pine Creek airfield as the rescue helicopter prepared for takeoff. Chief Rogers placed a hand on Janet's shoulder. "They'll call as soon as they find anything," he assured her. "The coordinates are very precise." "How could she have ended up 60 miles away?" Bill wondered aloud. "It doesn't make sense." "The storm that day was severe," Chief Rogers explained. "If she got caught in the overflow creek, it connects to rivers that run through the national park." The rescue helicopter reached the canyon 90 minutes later. Through binoculars, the team spotted the red kayak exactly where Mike's photos had shown it. "Base, this is Rescue 1, the pilot radioed. "We have visual confirmation of a red kayak. Lowering rescue team now." 2 rescuers were winched down into the narrow canyon. They carefully made their way to the kayak. Nearby, they discovered a small shelter made of branches and part of a kayak cover. The first rescuer approached cautiously. "Hello? Is anyone here?" A weak bark came from inside the shelter. The rescuer's voice trembled as he called into his radio. "Base, we found them. Repeat, we found them, both alive." Inside the shelter lay Emily, terribly thin but breathing. Max was curled protectively beside her, his golden fur matted and dirty. When the rescuers entered, Max stood up weakly, placing himself between them and Emily. "It's okay, boy," the rescuer said gently. "We're here to help." Emily's eyes fluttered open. "Max," she whispered. "It's okay." The golden retriever whined but stepped aside, allowing the rescuers to approach. "Emily?" the rescuer asked. "Emily Wilson?" She nodded weakly. How did you find us?" "A photographer in a plane saw your kayak," he explained, checking her vital signs. "You're going to be okay. We're taking you home." As they prepared Emily for evacuation, the second rescuer radioed the base. "Patient is conscious but severely malnourished. Right ankle appears broken and improperly healed. Dog is underweight but alert. Requesting immediate medical evacuation." In Pine Creek, Chief Rogers received the call he had been waiting 2 months to make. He drove immediately to Mountain Brew, where Janet and Bill were waiting with Lisa and dozens of community members. When he walked through the door, the cafe fell silent. "They found her," he announced, his voice breaking. "Emily and Max are alive." The helicopter hovered above the narrow canyon as medical professionals prepared for Emily's evacuation. Getting both Emily and Max safely out of the deep ravine presented significant challenges. "We need to secure her ankle before moving her," said paramedic Jason Wheeler, kneeling beside Emily in the makeshift shelter. "This is going to hurt a little, but it will help during transport." Emily nodded weakly, her once vibrant blue eyes now sunken in her gaunt face. "Please take Max first," she whispered. "I need to know he's safe." "Your dog goes where you go," Jason assured her. "We have a special harness for him." Outside the shelter, rescue technician Sarah Gomez prepared the evacuation basket. The helicopter maintained position overhead, its rotors creating a constant thunder that echoed through the canyon. "The walls are too steep for a landing," Sarah called to Jason. "We'll need to hoist both of them up." Max watched protectively as the rescuers wrapped Emily in thermal blankets. The golden retriever's ribs showed through his matted fur, but his eyes remained alert and focused on his owner. "You've been such a good boy," Emily told Max, her voice barely audible. "We're going home." When Jason attempted to place a harness on Max, the dog growled softly. "He's protective," Emily explained. "Let me talk to him." With tremendous effort, Emily raised her hand to Max's head. "It's okay, buddy. These people are helping us." Max licked her hand and allowed Sarah to secure the special animal harness around his body. "We'll lift you both together," Jason explained to Emily. "You'll be secured in the basket, and Max will be attached right beside you." Emily nodded, then winced as they carefully moved her into the rescue basket. Her broken ankle, which had partially healed incorrectly during her weeks in the wilderness, caused sharp pain with even the slightest movement. "Starting lift now," Sarah radioed to the helicopter pilot. "Patient secure with canine companion." The basket began its slow ascent, swaying slightly in the canyon breeze. Emily kept her hand on Max's harness, drawing strength from his presence as they were lifted toward the helicopter. Inside the medical helicopter, Dr. Melissa Chen immediately began assessing Emily's condition. "Emily, I'm Dr. Chen. Can you tell me where you're hurting the most?" "My ankle," Emily whispered, "and I'm so thirsty." Dr. Chen carefully provided small sips of water while checking Emily's vital signs. "Your blood pressure is very low. We're going to start an IV to help with hydration." A veterinary technician named Robert checked Max, who refused to move more than a few inches from Emily's side. "He's dehydrated but amazingly healthy considering what you've both been through," Robert told Emily. "He's a true hero." As the helicopter flew toward Pine Creek Memorial Hospital, Emily drifted in and out of consciousness. Each time her eyes opened, they immediately sought out Max, who remained faithfully by her side. "We're 20 minutes from the hospital," the pilot announced. "They're ready and waiting for you." Dr. Chen radioed ahead. "Patient is severely malnourished, approximately 80 to 90 pounds. Broken right ankle with signs of infection, multiple lacerations and contusions, immediate surgery likely needed for the ankle." At Pine Creek Memorial Hospital, a crowd had gathered outside the emergency entrance. News of Emily's rescue had spread throughout the small town within minutes. The helicopter landed on the hospital's rooftop helipad at exactly 2:15 in the afternoon. A medical team waited with a gurney, while a veterinarian stood by for Max. As Emily was wheeled through the hospital corridors, she held tightly to Max's collar until Dr. Chen gently explained they needed to separate briefly. "We need to treat you in the emergency room," Dr. Chen said. "Dr. Wilson will take excellent care of Max right next door. You'll see him again very soon." Emily reluctantly let go of Max's collar. "Thank you for saving me," she whispered to her faithful companion. In the hospital waiting room, Janet and Bill paced anxiously. When Dr. Chen finally appeared, both parents rushed forward. "Emily is stable," Dr. Chen assured them. "She's severely malnourished and dehydrated, and her ankle needs surgery, but she's going to recover." "And Max?" Janet asked, tears streaming down her face. "The dog is doing remarkably well. He seems to have been protecting Emily at his own expense." Bill wiped his eyes. "When can we see her?" "She's being prepared for ankle surgery now," Dr. Chen explained. "It should take about 2 hours. Then you can visit her in recovery." Outside the hospital room, Chief Rogers stood speaking with reporters. "Today's rescue represents the culmination of 8 weeks of searching by hundreds of volunteers. This community never gave up hope." Inside, as nurses prepared Emily for surgery, she kept asking the same question. "Is Max okay? Please tell me Max is okay." "Emily, can you hear me?" Dr. Sarah Johnson asked, gently touching her patient's shoulder. Emily's eyes fluttered open, the hospital room slowly coming into focus. 2 weeks had passed since her dramatic rescue from the canyon. The white walls and beeping machines still felt strange after her 57 days in the wilderness. "Yes," Emily whispered, her voice stronger than it had been when she first arrived. "Is Max here today?" Dr. Johnson smiled. "Your mother is bringing him for his daily visit in about an hour. He's doing very well, gaining weight and getting shinier every day." Emily relaxed against her pillows. The hospital staff had been amazed at her survival story, but nothing surprised them more than her bond with Max. Hospital director Dr. Adams had personally approved the Golden Retriever's daily visits, breaking normal hospital rules. "How much do I weigh today?" Emily asked. 92 pounds, Dr. Johnson replied. "That's up 3 pounds from last week. You're making good progress, but we still have a way to go to get back to your normal weight." Emily looked down at her thin arms. She had lost 35 pounds in the wilderness. Her once strong photographer's hands now looked bony and weak. "The physical therapist will be here at 10 o'clock, Dr. Johnson continued, checking Emily's vital signs. "How's the pain in your ankle today?" "Better," Emily said. The surgery helped a lot. Kevin Martinez, Emily's physical therapist, arrived right on time. A friendly man with a gentle approach, Kevin had been working with Emily since her second day in the hospital. "Ready to try standing for a bit longer today?" Kevin asked, helping Emily sit up. "I want to walk to the door by myself when Max arrives," Emily said with determination. Kevin smiled. "That's a good goal. Let's work toward it." For the next 45 minutes, Kevin helped Emily perform exercises to rebuild her strength. Though exhausted, Emily pushed herself harder than Kevin recommended. "Remember, recovery takes time," he reminded her. "You survived something incredible. Your body needs to heal." As they finished the session, Janet arrived with Max. The Golden Retriever pulled excitedly on his leash when he saw Emily, his tail wagging wildly. "Max!" Emily called, using her walker to take several steps toward the door. Max rushed to her side, nearly knocking over a water pitcher in his excitement. Janet watched with tears in her eyes as her daughter knelt carefully to hug her faithful companion. "He slept outside your bedroom door last night," Janet said. "He still doesn't want to let you out of his sight." Later that afternoon, Dr. Rebecca Taylor, the hospital psychologist, came for her daily session with Emily. With short brown hair and kind eyes, Dr. Taylor had specialized in trauma recovery for 15 years. "How are the nightmares?" Dr. Taylor asked, sitting in the chair beside Emily's bed. Emily stroked Max's head as she answered. "Still happening. Last night I dreamed I was back in the canyon and the water was rising." "That's normal after what you experienced," Dr. Taylor assured her. "Would you like to talk more about what happened after the storm pulled your kayak away from the lake?" Emily nodded, gradually sharing another piece of her story. Each day, she revealed more details about her ordeal. "The current was so strong," Emily explained. "When my kayak flipped the first time, I lost my phone and emergency radio. Max jumped out and swam to shore. I followed him, but the shore was steep and unfamiliar." "You made good decisions in a terrifying situation," Dr. Taylor noted. Emily continued. "We followed the water, thinking it would lead back to the lake. Instead, it joined a bigger river. That's when I realized we were being carried away from where people would search for us." Chief Rogers visited later, bringing a map to help Emily identify where she had traveled. "The storm created a temporary creek that connected to Thompson River," he explained. "That river flows through the national park. You were carried almost 60 miles from where we were searching." Emily traced the route with her finger. "Here's where I broke my ankle. The kayak hit rocks, and I fell trying to control it. After that, I couldn't walk far. When we reached the waterfall, I knew we couldn't go any further." As evening approached, Bill arrived with Emily's favorite soup from Mrs. Henderson's cafe. "The whole town is planning a welcome home celebration for when you're released," Bill told her. Emily smiled weakly. "I'm not ready for crowds yet." "No rush," Bill assured her. "Everyone understands." As Emily drifted off to sleep that night, Max curled up in his special bed beside her. Through the hospital window, stars shone brightly over Pine Creek, the same stars that had kept Emily company during her 57 nights in the wilderness. "I counted 57 marks on this stick," Emily said, showing the small wooden branch to her parents. They sat in her hospital room 3 weeks after her rescue. "One mark for each day Max and I were in the wilderness." Janet gently took the stick, running her fingers over the small notches Emily had carefully carved. "How did you keep track from the beginning?" "I didn't," Emily admitted. "The first few days were a blur. I started counting on what I think was day 3, then added the extra marks later." Bill leaned forward in his chair. Can you tell us what happened after your kayak got stuck at the waterfall? Emily took a deep breath. Max shifted beside her on the bed, as if sensing she needed extra support to share her story. After I realized we couldn't go any further because of my broken ankle, I had to focus on survival. The first night was the hardest. It was raining, I was in pain, and Max and I huddled under the overturned kayak. Were you scared? Janet asked softly. Emily nodded. Terrified. But having Max there helped me stay calm. The next morning, I knew I needed to make a real shelter. Emily described how she dragged branches using her arms and good leg, creating a small lean-to against a rock wall. She used the emergency tarp from her kayak storage compartment to make a roof. Finding water was easy because of the stream, but I had to filter it, Emily continued. I used my t-shirt and a plastic container from my kayak as a simple filter. I boiled water when I could, but making fire was hard because everything was so damp. Dr. Johnson entered the room, checking Emily's medical chart. She paused, listening to Emily's story. The biggest challenge was finding food, Emily said. I was starving by the third day. How did you manage to eat? Dr. Johnson asked, genuinely curious about how her patient had survived. Emily smiled and stroked Max's golden fur. Max was amazing. He caught small animals and brought them to me. I don't think I would have survived without him. Max wagged his tail, as if understanding the praise. I also found berries and plants I recognized from hikes with Dad, Emily continued, glancing at Bill. Remember teaching me which berries were safe to eat? Bill nodded, his eyes filling with tears. I never imagined those lessons would save your life. Emily described how she made a fishing spear from a sharp branch, occasionally catching small fish from the stream. She explained how each day followed a simple routine: check her shelter, collect water, search for food, and signal for help. I kept hoping someone would find us, Emily said. Every day, I would look for planes or helicopters. When I heard Mike's plane overhead that day, I grabbed the emergency blanket and tried to reflect sunlight toward him. Chief Rogers, who had joined them during Emily's story, shook his head in amazement. The odds of a plane flying directly over that remote canyon and a photographer with a telephoto lens spotting your kayak, it's almost impossible. I never gave up hope, Emily said firmly. Even on the worst days, I talked to Max about getting home. As Emily continued sharing details of her survival, the room grew quiet. She described the coldest nights when Max's body heat kept her warm, the hungriest days when they shared whatever food they could find, and how she created a calendar by watching the moon cycles. The worst part wasn't the physical pain or hunger, Emily admitted. It was thinking about you all worrying about me. I kept imagining Mom waiting by the phone, and it broke my heart. Janet wiped tears from her eyes. We never stopped searching, not for one day. Emily reached for her parents' hands. I knew you wouldn't. That's what kept me going, knowing that somewhere people were looking for us. Max nudged Emily's arm with his nose, as if reminding everyone of his role in the story. And of course, Emily smiled, scratching behind Max's ears, this brave boy reminded me every day that we had to stay strong together. Emily Thompson survived 57 days in the wilderness with her golden retriever. This incredible story of survival continues to captivate the nation, announced the news anchor on the television in Emily's hospital room. Emily clicked off the TV with a sigh. 3 weeks after her rescue, she still wasn't used to seeing her face on national news programs. They make it sound like some great adventure, she told her mother, who was arranging flowers by the window. They don't understand how terrifying it really was. Janet nodded sympathetically. There are 5 reporters in the hospital parking lot right now. The receptionist says the phone hasn't stopped ringing with interview requests. A knock at the door interrupted their conversation. Lisa entered carrying a large stack of mail. More letters from well-wishers, Lisa said, placing the bundle on Emily's bed. These came just this morning. There must be hundreds more at the post office. Emily picked up one envelope with a child's handwriting. Inside was a crayon drawing of a girl and a golden dog standing by a waterfall. The note read, "You and Max are my heroes. Love, Emma, age 8." People I've never met are sending gifts for Max, Emily said, gesturing to the corner of the room where dog toys had piled up. Yesterday, someone sent a package of gourmet dog biscuits from New York. Janet sorted through more envelopes. Oh, look, this one's from the governor. Later that afternoon, Dr. Johnson entered with news. There's a man named Mike Thompson here to see you. He's the photographer who spotted your kayak from the plane. Emily sat up straighter. Please, I'd like to meet him. Mike entered the room nervously, carrying his camera. He was a tall man with kind eyes and weathered skin from years outdoors. I just wanted to see for myself that you're okay, Mike said. When I saw that red kayak through my lens, I couldn't believe it. You saved our lives, Emily said, her voice breaking. How can I ever thank you? Mike shook his head. I was just in the right place at the right time. Anyone would have done the same. The morning shows want you both to appear together, Janet mentioned. They're calling it the one-in-a-million rescue story. Emily frowned. I'm not ready for television interviews. Everything still feels overwhelming. The next day, Emily's hospital room phone rang. Janet answered it, then covered the receiver with her hand. It's someone from North Face, she whispered. They want to offer you a sponsorship deal. Emily shook her head firmly. Tell them no, thank you. By the end of the week, a documentary film crew had set up equipment in the hospital parking lot. Chief Rogers tried his best to manage the media circus. They're offering a lot of money for exclusive rights to your story, Lisa told Emily during her daily visit. I don't want to be famous for nearly dying, Emily replied. And I definitely don't want cameras following Max around. Bill arrived with lunch from Mrs. Henderson's cafe, pushing past two reporters to enter Emily's room. The cafe is filled with journalists from every major network, he reported. Mrs. Henderson has started charging them double and donating the extra money to search and rescue. Emily smiled for the first time that day. Good for her. That evening, Dr. Taylor visited for their regular therapy session. How are you handling all the attention? She asked. Emily stroked Max's head as she considered the question. It feels strange. While I was out there, all I wanted was to be found. Now I sometimes wish I could disappear again. Not back to the wilderness, but just away from all these people wanting something from me. That's completely normal, Dr. Taylor assured her. You survived an extraordinary experience. Now you need time to process it without the world watching. Later, Emily asked Janet to bring her laptop. I need to say something to everyone at once, she explained. With Lisa's help, Emily created a simple social media account. Her first and only post read, "Thank you for all your kind messages. Max and I are recovering well. We appreciate your respect for our privacy during this time. The real heroes are the search teams and the Pine Creek community who never gave up looking for us." As weeks passed, the media attention gradually shifted to other stories. The people of Pine Creek continued to protect Emily from unwanted visitors, directing reporters to the designated press area at the community center rather than to Emily's hospital room or home. Your story touched people deeply, Dr. Taylor explained during one session. It represents hope and survival against impossible odds. Emily looked out the window at the mountains in the distance. I just want to be Emily again, not the wilderness survival girl. Is that possible? Yes, Dr. Taylor said confidently. With time, this will become part of your story, not your entire identity. 6 months after her rescue, Emily walked slowly along the shore of Lake Horizon. Her steps were careful, but stronger than before. The slight limp from her healed ankle would likely always remain, but it didn't stop her from returning to the outdoors she loved. Are you sure you're ready for this? Janet asked, watching her daughter stare at the water. Emily nodded, her blonde hair catching the morning sunlight. I need to do this, Mom. Max bounded ahead, his golden coat gleaming with health. He wore a new life vest with a built-in GPS tracker, a bright orange jacket that made him visible from a distance. He seems eager to get back on the water, Bill observed. He's braver than I am, Emily admitted. A blue kayak waited on the shore, not the red one that had carried her through her ordeal. That kayak remained in the Pine Creek Museum, part of an exhibit about her survival story. Take your time, Bill said. "We have all day." Emily opened a small waterproof bag and pulled out her new satellite beacon. Never leaving shore without this again. Her book, 57 Days Max and Me, had been published the previous month. It featured photographs from the waterproof disposable camera that had miraculously survived her journey. The book had quickly become a national bestseller. The Max Foundation received another $10,000 in donations yesterday, Janet reported. That's enough to provide GPS collars for 30 more search and rescue dogs. Emily smiled. That's wonderful news. She had established the foundation with proceeds from her book, helping train search and rescue dogs and providing tracking devices for pets. The work gave purpose to her experience. Chief Rogers called this morning, Bill said. He wants you to speak to the new park rangers about wilderness safety next month. I'll do it, Emily replied. If my story helps even one person, it's worth sharing. Emily took a deep breath and walked toward the kayak. Max followed closely, watching her face as if checking that she was okay. It's different now, she told Max, kneeling to adjust his life vest. We're prepared, we're not alone, and we know what to do if something goes wrong. Bill and Janet watched as Emily carefully pushed the kayak into shallow water. Her hands trembled slightly, but her face showed determination. We'll follow in the boat, Bill assured her, pointing to the small motorboat they had rented. Just paddle near the shore today. Emily nodded and whistled for Max, who jumped expertly into the front of the kayak. She paused for a moment, then stepped into the kayak herself. How does it feel? Janet called from the shore. Scary, Emily admitted, but good scary, like taking back something that was stolen from me. She paddled slowly along the shoreline, staying within easy reach of land. Max sat perfectly still, his eyes scanning the water ahead. Occasionally, he would look back at Emily, as if making sure she was still confident. After 20 minutes, Emily guided the kayak back to shore. Her parents waited with proud smiles. You did it, Bill said, helping her pull the kayak onto the sand. Just the beginning, Emily replied. Next week we'll go a little farther. That night, Emily stood on the porch of her small house, looking up at the stars. The same stars that had watched over her during those 57 nights in the wilderness. Max lay at her feet, his head resting on her shoe. We made it, buddy, she whispered. The nightmares still came occasionally, dreams of rushing water and hunger and fear, but they were less frequent now. Dr. Taylor had helped her understand that the experience would always be part of her, but it didn't define her. Emily's photography had changed since her return. Her images captured not just the beauty of nature, but its power and unpredictability as well. Her latest exhibit, Wilderness Respect, had opened at the Pine Creek Gallery the previous week. As she looked toward the mountains, Emily felt both respect and love for the wilderness that had nearly taken her life, but had also revealed her strength. Tomorrow's another day, she told Max, who wagged his tail in agreement, and we get to live it together.